Good morning. You're very welcome to Moth News Live. My name is Keith Walsh. It is Friday. Is it the 8th? Yes, the 8th of August. The 8th of the 8th. Boom, boom, boom. It means absolutely nothing. Watch out. Coming up in today's show, care homes in crisis. We'll hear from two women whose stories lay bare just how broken Ireland's system of care and regulation really is. I mean, there's so many of these stories. I could just do interviews for days. And you know what? I probably will. 4 weeks after an RTE primetime expose on one of the country's largest private care operators, has anything changed? Spoiler alert, no. You can stop watching now. We've also got news from Tipperary where Gardaí are investigating the brutal murder of Ian Walsh, an appeal for witnesses in that case. And in politics, Conor McGregor, you do absolutely nothing, McGregor, has officially entered the race for the Áras. The arse has entered the race for the Áras, promising to shake up the whole system. Conor, I don't know if you've I don't know if you've looked at Irish history or studied any of our previous presidents, like Mary Robinson, who I don't think she ever beat up a woman, or punched a man in the face in her own pub, or was clearly under the influence of some white powder on a yacht, screaming at passers-by. I don't know. That's just, it doesn't seem to me to be. Although, hang on a second now, Trump. Yeah, I mean, Trump did all sorts of crazy shit. So maybe, if he can do it, maybe you can. Later, I'll be joined by Al to talk drones over Dundrum. Yes, drones. And the businessman behind one of Ireland's most controversial investment sagas, now facing liquidation. It's our friend, Mr. Jeffrey Leo. Da, 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 da. Yes, the saga continues. And spoiler alert, it's not good for Jeff Leo. And we've got some drone-themed comedy you won't want to miss. And when I say comedy, it's just a clip from a podcast I found. It's real. Stay with us. Let's get into the news in briefs. First this morning, award-winning writer Michelle Walshe is speaking out about the harrowing treatment of her mother. Her mother, Anne, received terrible treatment at Belmont House Nursing Home in Dublin, one of 27 facilities run by French private care home giant Emeis, and the focus of an RTE primetime investigation last month. Let's remind ourselves what happened to that company in France. Emeis were operating private care homes in France and doing it terribly. And what happened? Well, Emmanuel Macron kicked them out. Now they're not running them in France anymore. Where are they running them? In Ireland. That's what we do, isn't it? That's who we are. I will have a chunk of that interview at about 1:30, and the rest of the interview will be played out here on this platform, Moth, later on today. Michelle says her mother, who has dementia, was left in vomit and diarrhea-stained sheets for 48 hours. And that complaints to HICWA, the care home regulator, in inverted commas, went nowhere. Her full interview with me, we've got 30 minutes of it, is coming up later in this hour, and I will have the full one afterwards. Now, also in the spotlight today, Anne Gallagher, a mother of 5 from Longford, whose husband Brendan died in December 2020 during the height of the COVID pandemic. Brendan, who had Alzheimer's and Parkinson, passed away just 45 minutes after being transferred from a nursing home to Mullingar Hospital. The strange thing was, I interviewed Anne yesterday. Anne was speaking to a gentleman in the care home at 2:00, and then at about 4:00, her son got a call to say that they were bringing his dad to hospital. They didn't ring her back. They didn't tell her anything about him not being well, the father being unwell, and he was dead within 45 minutes. Very strange indeed. So we will play that full interview later on today, so stay tuned to Moth News for that. Gardaí in County Tipperary continuing their investigation into the murder of 53-year-old Ian Walsh, whose body was discovered earlier this week. Officers are appealing for anybody with dashcam or CCTV footage from the Nina area between Sunday night and Monday morning to come forward. One man remains in custody this morning. And finally, Conor McGregor has formally declared his candidacy for President of Ireland. In a social media video, McGregor pledged to shake up the whole system and give the people a voice. Interesting. What about giving women a voice? Critics say the move is a publicity stunt, but early polling suggests he would command a significant support in the race for the Ors. We shall watch that one with interest. Do you think Conor McGregor should run for the Ors? Do you think he would make a good president? Do let us know. Get in touch. You can send us a message on X or on the whatever platform you're watching. Just send us a message and we will see it. That's our news in brief this morning. We're going to hear now from Al. I'm going to go over to Al in a minute. And I just want to remind you that those interviews in full with Anne Gallagher, talking about the day she lost her husband Brendan, that will be played later on MOTH News. We should have Al joining us now. We're talking, Al, drones over Dundrum, noise complaints, the question of regulation, and also we'll find out how our friend Jeffrey, Leo, and the Wenning family are getting on. Are they getting on like a house on fire? Or is there chickens come home to roost? And plus, I listened to an interesting podcast during the week about drones, funnily enough, which is apt. I'll play a clip of that for you later. Al, where do we find you today, and how are you?
Sorry, Keith, I couldn't hear you. There was some drone flying overhead there or something, or did you hear?
Yeah. It's a bit of a problem, but like,
yeah,
I just like, could you
break it up, Keith? You're breaking up. Sorry.
Would you stop droning on? I wouldn't worry about noise. I think you're you're stopping progress by complaining about noisy drones. I mean, you know, how else are you going to get your spicy latte delivered to your doorstep every morning in the posh place you live in?
Yeah, and I've got a car space if he needs it available in Cork. We probably fit 6 drones.
Drone parking.
Drone park. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think John Spillane wrote a song, who's a famous Cork artist, about sushi one time.
Yeah.
During the World Cup. So I'm not sure how popular sushi is in Cork though. I'd say it'd be more probably Dino's, you know.
Yeah, a can of football special and
tacos, chili dogs, maybe.
Sonora.
Yeah. With a drone handle at? I'm not sure. I think the drones have a certain standard.
Yeah, I think battered sausages maybe. Dropping battered sausages down the chimney.
I'm not sure the engineering would stack up lifting all the battered sausages over Cork. I'd say it could be problematic. There could be battered sausages like missiles coming down.
It's raining battered sausages.
Oh no! the young offenders would have a field there.
It's definitely an episode for the young offenders, isn't it?
It is.
They could definitely enjoy that. So here we have a picture of Mana, the gentleman, Bobby, I think is his name, the CEO and founder of Mana, and a picture of. Do you recognize the other guy who's with him? He looks familiar. I can't quite place him.
I'm not sure. I recognize Sir Bob, but I'm not sure. Sir Bob, isn't it? He likes to be called Sir Bobby, I think. I'm not sure who the other guy was. Leo. He was in the government at one stage, was he?
Leo.
Yeah. Oh, it's Leo. Sorry. Yeah.
Is that Leo Varadkar, a former Taoiseach? Anyway, there he is talking about the investment that Enterprise Ireland put into this company. I mean, like, this is a good thing, isn't it? You know, investing in drone delivery companies like Mana. Like, they raised $30 million in funding as they sought to expand their business in Ireland and further afield. The funding was led by existing investors Molten Ventures and Tapestry VC with Enterprise Ireland, Coca-Cola, HBC, Dynamo VC, and Radius Capital also participating. I mean, it's an Enterprise Ireland venture. I can see no problems. What would you, in your experience, what issues would you think that we might face, or that this drone company might face with getting investment organised by Enterprise Ireland?
Yeah, I think the paradox here is the articles are very much weighted towards how dare the government stop progress. We're going to be able to compete with the larger guys, Amazon and so on, right? And I saw a very unusual headline. It was like crawling back from defeat or something nonsense. clawing defeat back from success or from winning or something stupid like that. But I mean, Enterprise Ireland, who is like the government's fund,
Yeah.
right, have
Well, the
have
government fund
invested in,
our money, our taxpayers' money. Yeah.
and then he's blaming the taxpayers for stopping progress because they just want him to follow due process like every other like company in the land, right, which is fair and equal trade, right, which is okay. Just follow the rules, right? Feasibility study, make sure you've got planning, make sure you're following like the the laws of the land like everybody else in the country has to, right? Like if I just decided in the morning to rock up, set up a drone delivery service out my back garden and start flying the drones over every house without getting any kind of permissions and planning, I mean, what's stopping me doing that? So it's actually the opposite of what he's saying is actually correct. What he's saying is I should be allowed to do whatever I want to do because I'm Bobby and I have an entitlement to do it.
But
But then nobody else has to follow the same rules. But he's taking the government's investment anyway, which is weird. And then the other bizarre one is just in relation to you know, the Elkstone guys investing, right? In the company didn't come in the last round. Enterprise Ireland did. So does that mean that there's been an exit event for a government-backed investment fund right before something is happening in terms of the company and profile, and you know, is the shine coming off it? So I just
so
look,
are we saying that? Are we looking at this as say you know more about this kind of the inner workings of this? Me as a layman, man on the street, Joe Soap. Um, what I think what you're saying is that Enterprise Ireland have invested and gotten lots of investment. Now Elkstone invested in the first round; they haven't invested in this round. But Enterprise Ireland have raised money. This company don't actually have the planning to do drone deliveries. They haven't done their homework, as in like there's been over 200 complaints about the noise, and now people are asking the question, well, what's the story? Did you apply for permission? What are the rules regarding drones flying around in the airspace? What's the story with the noise, etc., etc.? He's a bit like, guys, this is progress. Don't get in the way of progress. We're going to get left behind, right? So he's trying to talk it up. He's trying to say these peasants are just getting in the way of progress, and they need to shut up, right?
that's the point. That's the point. And I have the article here, so
Yeah.
I had to stretch my phone. I wasn't down trying to look around the floor. I actually knocked it off my desk in anticipation for today. The drone didn't pick it up. I don't know what happened. I asked the drone to deliver my phone. They just can't get a right keys. Whatever's wrong with them, right? That was the noise earlier. They were
The first time. It's the first time doing drone deliveries. Come on,
for fuck's sake,
give them a break.
get your planning, you know. But it was
Pilots don't even have licenses.
snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, and that this was authored by one Tom Lyons, who you know we've spoken about
Tom
here
Lyons.
quite often. Yeah, the MSM
Yeah.
assassin, the guy that breaks the exclusives. You know, he'll just write, you know, about the good stuff, right?
Enterprise Ireland PR guy. Yeah.
Well, he's Ireland's PR guy, really, isn't he? So he's like, you know, if you want to take somebody down, go to Tom Lyons. If you want to buff somebody up, you go to Tom Lyons, and that's it.
Yeah.
He's turned into an editorial, right? So I think like even the fact that he's cheerleading just says it all to me. That just
That's a red flag.
opens it up. Yeah, that's like straight away. Okay, this is sus. You know, so okay, Enterprise Ireland put in money, which is taxpayers' money. You know, nobody's looking at, okay, is this company actually ever going to be viable? Like, if we were in the situation where I was taking in money from investors and I hadn't thought through my business plan,
Yeah.
and did some fundamental feasibility studies in relation to planning, right?
Yeah.
And being able to function as a business. There's 160 staff there. I mean, again, what the heck are they working on if it's a drone delivery company? I critique the 39,000. Is that 39,000 clients thus far? I mean, if we went up and sat in Dublin, would we see, you know, 39,000 deliveries going around in drones?
Yeah, I mean, it is a big number, isn't it, to say that they've got 39,000 customers already for drone deliveries? Like, what is it, like a coffee each every day, every morning? Like the milkman doesn't have 39,000 customers, and do you know what I mean? Like that's a lot of people.
Maybe he's counting every piece of
Every
sushi
chip,
in the sushi box.
every bit of rice in the sushi box. 39.
One box of sushi, right?
Delivered
That's
39 grains of rice.
that's 1,000 clients. Oh man, this guy's an absolute beauty.
He's definitely
He
bumping
really
up
is.
the figures. So 39,000 customers, and they've got those customers, and they don't want to disappoint them. If you're one of the customers, please get in touch and tell us how wonderful this is. But also there seems to be, like, if we were to look at the Enterprise Ireland Elkstone and their previous record, it looks like it could, for me looking in and only learning about this stuff as we go, could this be? Are they setting this up could they be setting this up to sell it? I mean, it's happened before. I'm not saying they are, but I mean, they're talking it up. They're giving out about the peasants complaining about the noise. They're saying they've 39,000 customers. It would be unusual for Enterprise Ireland and Elkstone to let the Irish company hold on to their actual business.
I think the hint is from the Tom Lyons article, which is snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, which is clearly the guys had taken some kind of event. The Elkstone guys either exited or didn't follow in, which is unusual in itself, because that means you're either getting ready for an event or you're liquidating your position, you're exiting your position, which means you've got to return. So that's a publicly backed fund. So I think we'll do some freedom of information on that just to find out. Let's as we always do, Keith, let's dig into this.
We'll dig into it and find out if we'll come back.
Yeah,
Funny enough, I'm finding it hard to find a journalist to do this work for us, which is interesting. But I think I have a guy, so just bear with us. It might take us a few weeks, it might take us a couple of months, but we will find out what is going on here with Enterprise Ireland with this money, because it's taxpayers' money that's been invested. And as we said before, it's a bit like, it's kind of like gambling. And would you invest whatever it is, 100,000, hundreds of thousands into a company who don't have the proper paperwork, who don't have the planning, who don't actually have the rights to just start drone delivering sushi and gyozos around Dundrum?
I think this is not meant as a blanket or sweeping statement. I'm just saying in majority, the journalists can't be trusted anyway in the MSM and legacy media outlets. I think we might be, this might be an exclusive, Keith. I know you love exclusives.
Yeah.
We may be possibly the first news channel and broadcast channel that uses agentic journalists. I'm just throwing it out there because we can rely upon them and they'll be trustworthy and ethical, and they will bring back the actual information. And they will find it. I'm working on some cool agentic stuff at the minute, but that's probably going to be one of our circle up meetings where we'll have a conversation on that.
Brilliant. The future is here. The future is now.
Yeah, I think look, the journalists that are there could just be replaced overnight, to be honest. Like, I mean, they don't report the news anymore. It's their opinion. So it's like, years ago, it was the agony aunt column in papers. That's kind of what the mainstream media is like at this stage. It's kind of like, if somebody tells one person something, that's it. They don't corroborate the stories. They don't do any journalism anymore. They don't critique it. They don't give any balanced view. It's like the whole journalism thing is
We're going to have to start relying on robots to do our journalistic investigations for us.
Yeah, and look, I had a conversation with somebody this week. Again, I can't disclose whom or where or what, but I just give it a context. It's in relation to feedback we're getting in relation to Leo, which is isn't indirectly, it's not related to this directly, but it does include some of the same people. Because some of the guys that were very noisy around that are not so noisy now seem to be promoting this guy all the time, which is Charlie Taylor, Tom Lyons, and others. So it's the same ecosystem. And Bobby Healy came out really hard against us during the Altada stuff. So again, it goes back to the point of the paradoxes. They're the Irish, they're the green jersey when it suits them. But if anybody else comes into their patch that's doing it successfully or is successful, they've no problem tearing them down with begrudgery, right? And again, this is consistent with how we speak about the people. I mean, imagine talking about the Irish citizens that they don't have a right to ask him to make sure that he's got all of his planning permissions in place and that he is following regulations.
Yeah.
And we're the stupid people then.
Yeah. Tick. We're all tick. Listen, I don't know if you're into podcasts, but I came across this podcast, very interesting podcast. I know you're into technology. This is apropos of nothing. This has got nothing to do with anything we've been talking about just up until now. But it's just this podcast I came across about technology, about drones, actually. Very interesting guy called Bobby Drone, I think his name is. And this is his podcast. Let me just play a clip of it for you. I think you'd enjoy it. You know, maybe Mike, you know, I don't know if you're into we'll have a listen anyway. Just play this.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Droning On with Bobby Drone.
Hello and welcome back to Droning On with me, Bobby Drone. The only podcast about drones for the posh, the privileged, and the painfully cool. So, if you're poor, middle class, or just ordinary, kindly stop listening now. This week we're doing something so different. It's really cool, different and cool. I've invited a very serious man from a very serious current affairs show to interview me about me and our cool new drone-based takeaway delivery system. Well, thank you for having me on, Bobby. Let's dive straight in. You've launched a drone takeaway delivery system, currently rolling out in, I believe, Dublin 4, Dundrum, some other affluent areas. Tell us more. Oh, it's so cool. I love drones. They're sleek, fast, loud, just like me. One day I was sipping on a Negroni with some of the guys. I thought, what if we used drones to deliver overpriced sushi and organic gyozas to fabulous people? And here we are, cool drones delivering cool food to cool people. Some residents say the noise from the drones is excessive and disruptive. How do you respond? The noise? Oh my god, I love the noise. That lovely sound, it soothes me. I actually sleep to it. I'm neurodiverse, by the way. My neurodiversity is I don't give a shit about other people. So the noise is a plus. It's not a problem at all. It's cool. Helps me think, my dude. Right, but what about community concerns? People who don't want constant buzzing overhead. Look, we're a cool company. We vibe with vision, not complaints. We don't vibe with Karens or Damians or Lorcans. Although I do know a cool Lorcan. Look, if you're not cool, you're just not relevant. And if you're complaining, you're not cool. So you're not engaging with community feedback. Feedback? Feedback is so last decade, my dude. We're into forward motion. Also, legally, we're operating in a grey area. And grey is my favorite color. What about licensing and drone flight regulations in urban zones? Forms, permissions, compliance. No, babe. That's for uncool people. We're innovators. We innovate by ignoring boring rules and hoping nobody notices. And if they do, we don't care. So cool. But it's public space. Public? Never heard of her. She sounds boring. Okay, final question. Will you change anything if regulators step in? If regulators step in, we'll just buzz them too. This is Ireland. Regulators don't do anything. Haven't you seen the Regulators movie? Anyway, this has been a really cool chat. You know, you're a bit serious, but it's nice to hang out with normies every now and then. Must have been real cool for you to hang out with me. Yeah, really, really cool. Next week on Droning On, I talk about my limited edition collection of all-white Nike trainers. Just show myself. 600 pairs, same size, same style. I believe it was worse than RT. Because I believe individuality is for the poor.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I gotta go. You guys stay posh, stay buzzing, stay drone. I don't know what that means either.
Droning On with Bobby Drone.
Trying to make it, trying to make it a thing. Drone. Hey, stay drone. Yeah, needs some work. Interesting podcast, isn't it?
Oh man, yeah. How did drone are you?
Drone you later.
Drone you later. I'm going to drone it. Jesus Christ. Oh man, what's the story?
You got a drone with it.
What's the story? The white
The white trainers. He's got 400 pairs of the exact same Nike trainers.
Really?
Same size, same color. That's his collection. He's got them in glass boxes across along the wall. You can see it.
Really? Did the drones deliver them? Yeah.
He just, that's his thing, man. Individualities for the poor. You know what I mean?
Fucking hell! Does he wear them? He must
No,
have very
they're
smelly.
brand new.
He must have
They're
very smelly feet. He can only wear shoes for one day.
no, they're still box fresh, man. He doesn't wear them.
But they're collectibles.
It's called a collection, but it's just the exact same runner. There's 400 of them. You don't get it. That's because you're not cool.
Yeah.
Have we got any updates on our pal, Mr. Jeffrey Leo?
Yeah, so it has been a crazy period, right? So so we said it was heading to liquidation, so it did.
Yeah.
So he's in liquidation, yeah, and again, speaking to our very integral mainstream media and legacy guys, so only one liner article published about which is a pretty massive story in any context. I mean, I've had 2 conversations. Actually, met these guys in the US, just which I hadn't disclosed the last time. So I did sit down with the representative for the weddings. Met him face to face. Had a fantastic catch up twice. We had so much to talk about. We met twice within 24-hour period, and just absolutely shocking, you know, in terms of how they've been treated. In general, and I think the biggest issue is, or the biggest disgrace of this whole thing, is that you've got all of the people that are surrounding the process of running for the hills. And one thing that I didn't kind of understand before now is that the everybody that was working with Leo at the time was very supportive in his pitch to the Wennings to convince them to send all that money over to Ireland. That Ireland was the place to be, the place to invest. They had never agreed to be involved in businesses that could make a loss. They had a very simple asset class that he was instructed to invest in, which was real estate properties for a return. That was it. And himself and Bernie Brogan Sr. flew over, met the Wennings, pitched the idea to them, and then I saw the trail of like 1.5 million checks being sent. So it's up to like 42 million, and the money's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What's unfolding is he was to produce documentation to say that, they're restored back to their rightful position. He did exactly what he always did. He's done this to us a number of times. He'd arrive at the last hour of the last hour and confuse the whole process, frustrate the process. For some bizarre reason, he got away with that with us quite a few times. And I just think, candidly, I think we just had a lesser mortal legal team working with us that just, weren't as strategic or as sharpened as Kieran Wallace, Interpat, Andrew O'Leary, and Andrew Arthur Cox. So they were able to see through this nonsense. And I think, look, Mark Hickey, who's his solicitor that's followed him through the last 2 firms in Horace Farley, he kind of, I think he's been kind of called out now at this stage as a guy that really frustrates the process. His card is marked, I think. So when they produced all of these files, the judge said, look, this is nonsense. So they forced him into liquidation. So provisional liquidator is appointed. I think it's up again after the summer break. For to formalize it, but this isn't unusual. This is part of the process. You appoint a provisional liquidator, they do a provisional report, and then there's a petition to appoint the liquidator. And I think, look, for all parties involved, it seems to be just extremely frustrating because, even despite all the stuff that Jeff Leo has put them through and his partners in crime, they still wanted to kind of get it settled. It's just appalling, And the mirage that that Jeff Leo and Bernie Brogan are creating is that this is like billionaire family. This money means nothing to them, But why would that matter in any context? And the reality is that isn't the case either. This is a very hard working family that have earned their money through great, farming, family, heritage. This is their family trust. This is their family fund. This is to carry on with their, I think they've like 11 kids. They've, 40 grandkids. Like this is lit. This is like, legacy stuff.
Mm.
And like the guys have just taken their money, right? And it just makes Ireland look so bad, that we're not even like highlighting this guy. And if you look at the imbalance, not one picture of him on the media, on the front page, nobody's tying it back to saying, okay, he appointed this liquidator on two cases, one very high profile liquidation Altara, which is Kirby Healy, and appointed John Healy in the exact same period to Wennings, which was essentially an illegal liquidation, right? They removed assets from a company. And, nobody's tying the two together because, as you said, the journalists are just dumb in it, right? They're not highlighting the fact that this is, like an extremely concerning behavior for the Irish ecosystem. And again, it just highlights corruptness.
Yeah, and
at
how
a
weak.
whole-
I mean, once again, we talk about regulation, and how weak it is. The regulation, financial regulation in Ireland. I mean, he was kicked out of. He wasn't allowed to do this financial business in America. He came to Ireland. He obviously knew that it was all loose and cool and groovy in Ireland. He kind of get away with it. And like the 40 million you said that he got, you said it's all gone. But like we have to remember that he bought Dundrum House, and it's and it was an iPass center. So that's really
he brought in, he created an iPass center. So when he bought that initially, and this is a very important point to address, right? And I know, look, you can like go down the middle, or you can go left or right, because there's an extreme group that are protesting aggressively, and that's that's their thing. That's not for us to get involved. And then you've got people in the business area that just want their town
back, yeah,
and their county back. They just that's their only agenda,
Yeah.
right? And when you look at it as high, he came in, rolled in, the big, wealthy US guy, validated by a very senior, very high profile family, the Brogans in Ireland, known in lots of circles, the equivalent of a superstar in terms of GAA. They validated him. He rocked in, had lots of money. Nobody drilled in underneath to say, okay, what's actually happening underneath here? What's he doing with this money?
Yeah.
He was just using it for his own purposes. He took over Dundrum, and his plan for Dundrum, that the local people thought was the longer term strategy, was restoring Dundrum back to where it was. Golf course, all of the above. And I was like, bang, iPass. They were kind of like, what the heck? Like, we embraced this guy, we brought this guy in as as one of the community, like the way they treated the guy. And I've seen how they treated him. I was in that property, and I saw how the people were so excited about the opportunity. And the important point, as were the Wennings, right? Like the Wennings went along with it, thinking they were building something good with this guy.
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing to remember is, like, and this is why it's important. And it's odd that it's not in the newspaper. So this guy has an iPass center in one of the buildings he bought with money that he's taken off somebody else. Like, not only is it bad for the people of the town, it's bad for the people living in the iPass center, because it's been run very badly. So there's a taxpayer interest in this as well. There's the whole financial scene in Ireland, and people not wanting to invest in Ireland because this is bad PR. But then you've got like the actuality of like ruining a town. And then like the government, like this whole thing about him signing over the building to some señorita in Spain called Juanita, who that's a different company. Like all of that stuff, like it's bad and it needs to be reported, and it's weird.
And it's not, and it is in the public interest, Keith. This is the important point.
Yes.
Okay, like when you look at it and take it out of sight, this is a consortium. It's not one individual. This is a consortium of auditors, solvency practitioners, a credible liquidator who's John Healy, who's seen as the revenue guy, credible legal firms, solicitors, accountants, sports stars, validating this guy.
Mm.
And literally, if there's any patriotism left in the country, I mean, we're leaving somebody come in, we're allowing somebody and enabling somebody come in to manipulate our processes from a corrupt perspective and like absolutely destroy a town.
Yeah.
2 towns actually, because there's people have reached out to us from Strafford as well and said that
Strafford,
he's done the same. He's done the same there. He's been an absolute,
Purge.
virus in the K Club. He's been a virus everywhere he's left a trail of destruction everywhere he's gone. I've had 2 founders reach out to me in the last 2 weeks, which some I'd known of, the other one I did not know of. And again, the stories they were telling me were absolutely just, I mean, you wouldn't even see it on, a horror movie in fucking Netflix, like what this guy has done to them personally, right? He's literally ruined them, right? And they're looking at the media and saying, is this true? Is this guy actually gone? And one guy said to me, he doesn't believe it because he believes he'll find a way out, because Ireland is so corrupt. That's literally categorically what he said to me. He said, "You guys are so fucking corrupt over there." I was like, "Really?" And he said, like, there's no justice in Ireland. And he said, and I couldn't argue with him. I said, that's funny you said that, because when we were looking across myself and Niamh, and the other members of the team, when we were looking across the court, we had a guy representing us from a legal standpoint. We came out when John Healy was appointed recklessly, like there was no way the guy should have been appointed as a liquidator when the company was sold. And he said, "Oh, you come to court for justice in Ireland, you get the law." I said, "What the fuck are you talking about?" His name was Graham Kenny from Evershed. I said, "What the fuck are you talking about, Graham? Like, seriously?"
Yeah, but it's not justice for all. It's justice for some, and I suppose that's why MOTH exists, is because we want a fair society where people can go to court and have their rights and get justice, and that's not that doesn't exist anymore. And I can understand why this man is this pal of yours thinking he's going to get away with it because Ireland is so corrupt. I mean, he's gotten this far. He's done this.
I'm keen. I'm not saying this for a flex. I'm just stating the facts, dude. Right? We're practicing what we preach. We're drinking our own champagne. We're like literally every week we're having a bit of joke. Niamh and I, GoFundMe pops up, and she's looking at people coming on X, appealing for help, for legal representation, and every second day she's on GoFundMe trying to help people, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just appalling. Now we'll keep doing it, as you know, and I'll openly say, let Jeff Leo knows this, we've been helping people with the other lawsuits against this guy because it's the right thing to do. That's it. And let's just take this out aside. We started this, as you know, because we see injustice everywhere. That's it. That's the reason we've started this. Because people are not getting a fair hearing by the journalist, by the mainstream media, by the legal representation in Ireland. If you don't have money, you are fucked in Ireland.
If there was balanced reporting happening in the mainstream media, we wouldn't have to be here. You wouldn't be here in this. Like, none of this would exist. You know what I mean? So your company, you'd still be running your company. So there's a need for this, and these things need to change, and there needs to be.
I love that point actually, because a lot of people don't actually take into account the demonstrable amount of work that you're doing on a fucking daily basis to get to this, to put this together. Like, that's what people are missing. It's like, this is not like, a gamified show. This is like, we're literally bringing people forward with proper stories, and we're actually helping. And we're giving people that hope, right? That sense of hope that there is some faith left in humanity. And look, I can tell you now, love him or loathe him, I'm apolitical, but I can tell you now, I've been in the US to spend most of July over there, and like, the US is back, man. Like, they are getting fucking back. They are starting to get the patriotism back. They're starting to resolve their issues. It's safer. I can tell you now categorically, it's fucking safer. Right, whatever people say about the leadership, if there is leadership, and I've said this many times, inaction is worse than action, right? And when you look at Ireland is not a functioning country at the moment. And I know I saw some stuff there during the week, and I mentioned it to a friend of mine from Ireland who just didn't want to hear it. And it was like, have you seen the latest report? They're saying like Dublin's one of the fucking most dangerous cities in Europe. Oh, no way. I said, man, have you walked through Dublin City late at night in the last fucking 6 months. Seriously. As a tourist. Just try it. And you'll get the feedback. Right? So we're not functioning as a democracy.
Yeah, I mean, we're too. Yeah, look, our minds are elsewhere, and we've said before, bread and circuses. It's all there's too many distractions, and we're not focusing on the fact that the people running this country are doing absolutely, like, we look at regulators, we look like, we're going to talk, I'm going to play some of my interview now with Michelle Walshe, who I spoke to yesterday, about her mother who's in a care home. One of these care homes was highlighted during the primetime investigation, and it's a month on and nothing has changed. And she talks about how she discovered that her mother had been in diarrhea and vomit soaked sheets for 48 hours in a care home. And that's and HICWA are the regulators who can't actually regulate, and that's the problem. And so we're looking at financial regulator, we're looking at HICWA, we're looking at HSE. Like, there is nowhere that is, we're not treating the people of Ireland very well, and that's the facts is we're being fucked over by our own government, and they're making us point the finger elsewhere. Anyway, Al, thanks very much for joining me. Good chat. We'll be back.
And I just want to tie off one point just to reiterate. So Jeff Leo is in liquidation because we've received rumors that he's going around telling everybody that he's not in liquidation, right? He is in liquidation, right? And one of the other points that somebody made to us is that his team have sold out for the price of a kitchen in their house. And I'll leave that there. Okay.
Excellent.
He'll know what I'm saying when he hears it. He's probably dialed in right now.
He's on the line.
The price of a kitchen is what people in Ireland will sell out for. I'll let you infer that.
Nice.
Okay?
Take it easy, man.
Kate, well done, man. And listen, I hope you don't get headhunted by Bobby Drone's podcast. That's it.
I'm moonlighting as his producer. Good luck.
See you, man.
Good luck. Bye. There you go. That's all. Yeah, and we'll keep you updated with the Jeff Leo news. I'm going to play as much of this interview as I can. As I said, Michelle Walsh, she's a writer herself, accomplished writer, former teacher, and left her job as a teacher to look after her mother, and eventually, despite her best work and her best efforts and her best wishes, she had to put her mother into a home. This is one of the homes that was featured on that primetime documentary where we saw people being treated appallingly, and she's saying, well, my mother's in there now. It's 4 weeks after that expose, and nothing has changed. So we play as much of this as we can. You can watch the full interview later on this platform. You can also go to our YouTube. Let me just bring up the details there. If you go, you can follow us on X at Moth News, Instagram at Moth_news, and our YouTube channel at Moth_news, all caps. You'll find all our interviews, previous live shows, bits and pieces. They're all there. And yeah, let's go to listen to see what Michelle had to say about her mother being in a care home. If we cared for everybody, we also could have had a great teacher still in the system affecting those going on to employment, or, I'm not sure exactly what type of teacher you were, but I mean, if you're teaching and influencing young people, if it's people in higher education, you're influencing that generation, and that is a valuable resource for us as a country. So, I mean, not only were we not looking after your mother, but we weren't looking after you either, so you had to give up your job. Now, I mean, we also as a country maybe got something out of that because you decided to start writing, which is good, because now we have your writings out there, and that's totally completely down to you, because it's surprising with the workload you would have had that you were able to find time to write, but you did, and and thank you for that. But this is like, if you look at this as a holistic 360 problem, there's many ways in which the Irish government are failing us as a country. If you take a teacher out of the system, you're not just affecting that person, you're affecting all those people every year that person would have educated, influenced.
And we have a teacher shortage. We have a teacher problem. So it's
so we are more interested in looking after the needs of some faceless French company whose board of directors want dividends and want to be making profits. Therefore, they make cuts and they don't invest properly in the staff that work in their homes. They don't care. HICWA don't have any power when it comes to sanctioning these people. We're more interested in protecting that than we are protecting our own educators, elderly. I'm sure you have family, siblings. We're not. Why? It just makes me so angry that our priority as a country. This is who we are. This is what we do. It's very clear. Our priority as a country is some French dude who has a lot.
But how did they? I don't understand also how that they got away with that, because when you investigate the French problems that happened, like it's appalling. So how are they let come in here and enter the Irish market and do what they've done? Because it's like being gaslit. Like I was telling people my mum had gone into Belmont House and they were saying, oh, it has a really good reputation. And I think that it did, actually. I think it did. And I kept saying, I think it's been taken over. I don't know. There's something wrong in there. I can't.
Something's changed.
Yeah. And I was like, I can't. There was so much wrong. I couldn't even, pinpoint one particular. It was a whole series of things. And everyone kept saying, oh, my grandmother was in there, or my friend's mother was in there, and they spoke really highly of it. And I'm going like, is it just me? Like, is it, what's, am I just being perfectionistic? What is it? And then I found out the French story, and I was like, oh my God, like how did they let this happen? And why is there no regulator? Why is there no control? But this is the problem I'm having. The reason my tolerance is so low, well, it's all it's public obvious when my tolerance is so low. There's so many horrific stories, but I'm off the back of 8 years of home care, which was also horrendous. And there's no regulation there either. And there's nowhere to complain except directly to the private company who don't care. So, I've horror stories from those 8 years as well. And then you come into this sector where you're paying through the nose, and it's worse than ever. Worse than ever. Just last week, they didn't give my mum her medicine on time, which meant she was unwell for the entire day. And I went back in and said it to them. There's new faces. I'm new here. I don't know anything. Then where do I go? HICWA? HICWA will send me back to the internal complaints procedure. And then HICWA's other answer to me was, if you can't get satisfaction there, Michelle, go to the Ombudsman. Do you know how long it takes to get a complaint heard by the Ombudsman? So I'm like, what? Every time I go in there, I have a complaint. So what am I meant to do? Every single time I'm meant to go to the Ombudsman? I'm like, why, what? I don't understand.
Yeah, why would HICWA? Why are HICWA just passing the buck? I mean, how is that an answer? How is that satisfactory? How do they feel it's satisfactory? So this is since prime time. This is since.
Oh my God! Since prime time, since the Irish Times article, and then I went in and I had an hour-long meeting with some regional director who I'd never met before, and one of the staff in there who I met on the admission, and I've never it's never been a good relationship,
interaction.
A good experience, yeah.
But they don't like troublemakers like you asking questions and
no, of course they don't. No. So I went in there.
You just drop your mother in there and just leave her and let us do what we don't do. I mean,
what we don't do. I mean, this is Keith. This is the other thing. This is really the other thing I would like to say, is that obviously my mother is my concern. She's only 79. She just turned 79 last week. I've been looking after her a long time, and the thing is that that's obviously my priority, but I also want to speak for the people who can't speak, because my mother is still like, physically fine. I take her out to the hairdresser every week. Take her out to lunch. She's her short-term memory isn't great, but like she's pretty with it still, so she can tell me what's going on and I can see with my own eyes what's going on. But like I'm micromanaging everything. What about the people who don't have a voice, or they don't have people to advocate for them? What's happening to them? And what was happening to them all the years of the home care stuff, like that really distresses me too. But now we're at this level, and I just dread to think what would be going on if I wasn't all over them. Like I have
Yeah.
to be all over them all the time.
All the time, yeah.
So I went back in last week and I said, can you explain to me, please, why my mum wasn't given her medicine on time? It's very important she gets medicine early in the morning. It affects the mood and her energy and everything for the entire day. And this nurse who I've never met before turned around to me and said, have you specified this? And I said, what do you mean? Like I said, she's in here since last December. Specified it. Just that I've non-stop management meetings. I said, why isn't it written on her chart? Like it's not even written on her chart. So like if there's a handover to somebody who doesn't know her, they don't know to do this. So like that's basic, giving her medicine is basic. They regularly lose her clothing, put other people's clothing in her room.
Yeah.
She's, this again is basic. Like there's no system for anything. Why can't they get this right? Like, what? It's so simple.
Because they don't care.
But that's the,
Nobody
the
cares.
feeling.
The staff don't care. The owners don't care. Like it is a thing that the owners have taken over. I mean, let's just talk about Belmont House, that this faceless company have taken over, and they're trying
I call
to
it
run
Belson, by the way.
Oh, very good. Excellent.
I have to be careful not to say that to their face, but that's what I call it, because to me it's like it's a circle of hell going in there. I can't describe to you how distressing it is. And the
Belmarsh, that could be another name.
yeah, there and the rage. I'm constantly in a state of rage every time I go in there. It's like,
can you tell me, because I do want to get back into all of this and your experience, and I have questions. Don't you worry about that. Can you tell me a bit about your mother before she started to show signs of illness, or before you started having to care for her full time? Or I mean, or even now. I mean, she's obviously still, tell me about her.
Well, so the first thing is she's widowed a long time, like, so over 20 years, like 24 years. So there's been all that period where as a family, we've all kind of been minding her, because she was left without my dad, and he pretty much did everything. And so she really had to learn to adapt to life without him. But I would say, I would describe her as a woman of extraordinary resilience. And she's looked after, there's three of us, and then there's grandkids, and she's looked after all of us as well, So I want to make sure she has the best care always, and especially now. And as she becomes more vulnerable, so we've always been around her all the time, but she's she's been hospitalized a lot over the last 8 years, and yet has come through that. Like she never got COVID, despite being in and out of hospital. Like she's extraordinary, and in Belson, she's the life and soul of the party. Like she's always, she loves, this is why the clothing thing is so distressing. She loves her clothes. She has a lot of them. and she loves putting outfits together and still does. And so finding her in somebody else's clothes, like I had her out shopping recently in Dunleary and I was helping her get changed in the changing room, and I took the trousers off her and they had someone else's name on the trousers. So back in I go to the reception, you know, with yet another problem, like with yet another complaint. And I find that really distressing. I mean, like if I was running a creche or, you know, some kind of childcare and I was sending children home in someone else's clothes, I'd be fired. You know, if I went into a restaurant and got a bad meal, it would be refunded. Like there's no you know, comeback. They don't do anything
They
for
don't
you.
care. They
Just call you in for another meeting. And I'm like, oh, okay, like let's waste another hour of my time. Why don't we? You know, because
nothing will come of them. Yeah,
choice.
nothing will. Yeah,
Nothing changes. And it's a system. This is the problem, Keith. Like it's systemic, you know. This Emeis parent company that have come from France, and the horror story that's in France, they've just transposed themselves over here, and they've bought up what used to be, it seems to me, family run or small business style nursing homes where the care was great, you know. And they have imposed this. It's like dealing with a massive American corporation. You know, there's no personal relationships.
Yeah, it's like having a problem with Revolut, you know.
Yeah, or Microsoft Outlook or something, you know, and you have to like type in something and you join a queue. Like it's that feeling. And it's also, it's very, to me,
Actually, I saw somebody having to deal with booking.com recently, and they put it up on. So they're just like, they're like booking.com are like, oh, we'll talk to the host. The host is like, well, I don't care. Talk to booking.com, you know.
Yeah, and if they move,
like that's what it is. It's booking.com for old people, you know.
But I think I find it very marked because I suppose because I've been looking after Mum for so long, I have great relationships with her care provider, like her primary care doctors, you know, and consultant doctors, and her GP, and like, you know, her optician and her audiologist and her, you know, chiropodist and all the other stuff that just goes along with normal health. And yeah, I have these, you know, long-term amazing relationships with these people who look after my mum, and I can't speak highly enough.
That's it. Thanks very much to Michelle Walshe for her time. And you can watch the rest of that interview here on MOTH News on this channel, wherever you're watching. If you're watching on X, it will be on X, the full interview. And that will be followed up later on in the day with another interview about care home in Ireland and care home abuse and lack of regulation and lack of answers and the transparency and all of the things we talk about all the time that just don't exist in Ireland. That's it for us. Enjoy the weekend. If you have a story and you want us to cover, this is your platform. Get in touch. You can contact us through X at MOTH News, Instagram at MOTH_news. We're on YouTube at MOTH_news, and you can see all of our previous lives and interviews there on that YouTube channel. And we got a website coming very soon, which will make things a lot easier for me because I have less words to say at the end. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you soon. Take care.